You may recall that back in December, I told you I'm going to slow down buying some records. I got to change the way that I buy records. Got to slow down a little bit. Well, it's May. So let's check in and see how I've done. Stay tuned. Hey everybody, welcome to Northern Revolutions. I'm Rob. Welcome back if you're returning. Welcome if you're new. I said back in December I'm going to approach the hobby of vinyl records a little bit differently. I found that I was maybe buying records at a pace that wasn't sustainable, at a pace that wasn't enjoyable. I would buy them and listen to them and then put them away, and who knows when I'd get to them again. I like listening to albums over and over and over. So the pace I was buying them, I wasn't enjoying them as much as I normally would. Not to mention records are getting stupid expensive, especially here in Canada. So back in December, I said I'm going to take a look at 2025 a little bit differently. I'm going to focus on things that are put out by, the artists that I absolutely have to have. There's a group of artists that I buy everything they put out. So if one of those artists puts something out, I'm going to buy it. That was number one. And number two, I was going to sort of look at maybe some grail items. We all have that grail list. So I was going to buy maybe one or two or three of those ones that have been on my wish list for a very long time. And that was how I was going to approach record collecting in 2025. How have I done? Okay, actually. I have been in a record store, other than Record Store Day, which doesn't count. I have been in a record store twice in 4 months. I don't think that's too bad. One of those was after Record Store Day to see if they had any Record Store Day leftovers that I was looking for. So really, I've been in a record store one time in 5 months. That doesn't mean I haven't bought some records, because I have. I've had some VCLT. I didn't buy those, so those don't count. And there's a whole other video about that VCLT, so we're not going to talk about those. But we're going to talk about the records that I have purchased since the beginning of the year. And there's only 20. I don't think that's too bad. Let's take a look at them. Okay, the first thing I bought this year was this album here. And this is Rick White and the Sadies, September 26, 2024, at the Great Hall. I love the Sadies. Country rock band from Toronto. I've talked about them a lot. This is an unexpected surprise because Dallas, one of the founding members, one of the two brothers, died unexpectedly a couple years ago, and everyone thought that's the end of the Sadies. But the three of them kept touring. Then they made a studio album with Rick White, who's a friend of theirs. We thought, okay, that's going to be the end of it. No, still touring with Rick White, and they made a live album. Really good. It's the Sadies with a little extra dimension of Rick bringing a little bit of garage rock, sort of psychedelic kind of feel to the Sadies. But man, this is so good. I don't know that this got any widespread release. I've never seen it in the store, but because I'm a huge Sadies fan, I bought this off their website. So Rick White and the Sadies live from the Great Hall was my first purchase. The Sadies are one of those artists that if they put something out, I'm buying it. So that fits into that category. The next one I've already talked about in another video. And this falls under the, lengthy wish list that I wanted to fill. So Slippery When Wet, Bon Jovi. The original, the band, I don't know, whatever, cover. Only available in Japan. Got my Obi on here. My good pal Curtis from Young LP Lovers was able to hook me up with this. So I bought this because Bon Jovi fan, and the swimsuit cover has been on my list of things I want to get for a very long time. And because Curtis has connections in the Far East, I got this at an incredible deal of a price. So this fits under the wish list category. This isn't going to be a popular one, but I don't care. Taylor Swift's Lover Live from Paris. This is a 2 disc. It came out along with her album Lover. This was a concert in Paris, 8 songs. This was released exclusively on her website, I want to say 3-4 years ago, and sold out instantly. And those are very, 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 very expensive. $400 or $500, which is insane. Whatever. I love Taylor. So when they reissued this just recently, I had to snatch it up. I know I didn't get it on the website. I paid a little bit more on the secondary market, but actually it's very, very good. But because I'm a Taylor completist, again, this falls under the wish list. Yes, it's not the original, very expensive pressing, but these aren't cheap either. But thrilled that I crossed this off the wish list. Okay, so the one and only time that I went into a record store this year, not related to Record Store Day, I was at PCV Records in Oakville, Ontario, for no reason other than I had a bit of time to kill in between meetings. And I picked up this. This is Nathaniel Rateliff and the Night Sweats. This is their album South of Here, which came out last year. I'm not an expert on this band by any means. I've seen him on YouTube, and that's where I first heard about him. I saw him do a great cover of Born to Run by Springsteen. But what caused me to pick this up is I kept seeing a YouTube ad for their tour, and the song that they were using on that ad was Heartless, which I thought, wow, that's a great song. Then I saw them do that on Colbert, and I'm like, I got to get this album. So I did. On that same visit, in there, they have sort of like a reduced section, so, new stuff that isn't moving. And they had Amanda Marshall's Heavy Lifting. Huge Amanda Marshall fan, Canadian singer-songwriter. I've got her first 2 albums on vinyl. Her third album's not on vinyl, but this is her comeback album after 20 years. And they had this for a stupid price, like less than $20. So I had to buy it because I have all her stuff, which at this point is only 2 other albums, but huge fan. So he couldn't pass this up for a steal. Amanda Marshall's Heavy Lifting. Okay, this one was a bit pricey. This was an online purchase. This is for you, Joe. Bryan Adams Live in Lisbon. This was put out as a DVD and Blu-ray years ago. It's a great show. But Bryan started his own label late last year called Bad Records, and he's slowly releasing stuff. There's been a couple records. But this was a limited release in the UK. You can't buy it off Bryan's website. I don't know where you can buy it, to be quite honest, but I grabbed it off eBay. So this was live in Lisbon, Portugal, 31st of January, 2005. So who knows if this is going to be available sort of on a widespread release. I don't know. But I grabbed it at a reasonable price off eBay. Reasonable price being subjective, more than you'd pay for it in a store. But then again, this isn't available in a store. And what I also like about this is there are songs on here. This was his room service tour, so room service is not available on vinyl. So there's some songs in here that this is the only place you're going to get it on vinyl. So absolutely thrilled to pick this up. Paid a little more than I normally would, but that's okay. It's a band. If they put something out, I own it. I haven't talked about these guys in a while because I'm sick of my friends chucking shit at me. Blue Rodeo. They put out Greatest Hits Volume 2. Yeah. Volume 1 is out on CD, came out in like 2001, and it's outstanding. Volume 2, okay. I wish Volume 1 was on vinyl. That would be better. These are not their biggest hits. They're on Volume 1. These are what I would call sort of their second-tier hits and some stuff that's a little bit later in their catalog. I could go on forever about this. I kind of question the track list on this. It doesn't seem to make a ton of sense. However, it's still enjoyable, and there's a couple songs on here. This is the only place you're going to get them on vinyl. I did go to a record show with MGKBoston, Mike. I'll leave a link for that video in the description. I picked up 5 records when I was at that show. I'm not going to talk about them in this video. You want to go see what I bought, check them out in that video. That brings us to Record Store Day. Didn't get what I wanted, which was U2's Passengers. That's okay. I'll get it at some point somehow. But I need to pick up 2 things, as I've already talked about. Jets Get Born Rarities. This is an Australian band. It was I think their debut from 2000. ish, I think. And this is just live, alternate takes, rarities. So I love the original album so much that I picked this up. And Liam Gallagher's Acoustic Sessions, 8 songs acoustically from last year. Very good. I think it's maybe Liam's best vocal performance, solo outing, whatever you want to call it. So as I said in the video about Record Store Day, this kind of bodes well for the Oasis reunion if he sounds this good. So I mentioned the only other time I was in a Record Store Day was just after Record Store Day to see if there was any leftovers, things I was looking for. And then again, I went to PCV Records in Oakville, Ontario, and I picked up 4 things not related to Record Store Day, but I could not pick them up. This is incredible. This is Stan Rogers from Freshwater. We talked about this on, I think, the live stream a week or 2 ago. Canadian singer-songwriter, like Gordon Lightfoot, someone who sings songs about Canada. From coast to coast, he had songs about them. Really resonates with the folks on the East Coast. This came out posthumously in 1983. Stan died. Very strange circumstances. He was on an Air Canada flight from the U.S. back to Canada in 82 when a fire broke out. And when they tried to evacuate the plane on the ground, he didn't make it. Horrible death, but an unsung Canadian folk hero that musicians really appreciate. So thrilled to find this Stan Rogers record for, it was like $5, which was a steal. Not a big soundtrack guy, but I picked up Cocktail for, again, I think this was $5. I played the shit out of this on cassette when I was a kid. There's some good stuff on here. I mean, Kokomo by the Beach Boys, I think the only place you'll find it. But also Rave On by Mellencamp, All Shook Up. Ry Cooder, Tutti Frutti's on here. Don't Worry Be Happy by Bobby McFerrin. Hit Paper Shake, The Georgia Satellites. There's some other stuff. Some great soundtrack. I'm not a soundtrack guy, but because I listened to this so much when I was a kid, for $5, why not? Bought a second soundtrack that day. I don't know that I've bought 2 soundtracks in 5 years, let alone one day. They also had La Bamba, and it was about $5. This is incredible. I mean, the great movie about Richie Valens starring Lou Diamond Phillips. Brian Setzer's on here, Los Lobos. Brian Setzer, Bo Diddley. Can't go wrong with this. This is one I've been looking for forever. It's not a scarce record. Just no one ever hangs on to it because they don't really, a lot of folks don't really know what it is. It's a terrible album. Sweeney Todd's If Wishes Were Horses. Came out in 77. Why did I buy this? Because this guy is Bryan Adams, believe it or not, before he was Bryan Adams. When Nick Gilder left Sweeney Todd to go solo, Bryan took over. Sounds nothing like Bryan. It is a horrible record. But because I'm a Bryan Adams completist, I needed this, and they had it, so I had to buy it. And last, but not least, Me First and the Gimme Gimmes. I blow it at Madison's turning 15 party. I don't speak Spanish, so I don't know how to pronounce that word. This came out last year. This is a Me First and the Gimme Gimmes live record. It's good. These guys are fun. Actually just changed their name last week to Spike and the Gimme Gimmes, which I think is stupid. But Spike has been the lead singer forever. The bass player is CJ Ramon, which is kind of cool. They're actually coming to Toronto. I might go see them. I might not. I don't know. Love the Gimme Gimmes. Anytime I see one of their albums, I pick it up. They are punk covers of songs that are not punk songs. So, like, and this has a punk cover of Love Will Keep Us Together. So, I bought about 20 records this year. I don't think that's too bad. I've been to the record store, other than Record Store Day, once. I think I'm doing okay. Haven't spent a ton. I guess I could spend less, but I'm pleased with this. I am buying less records than I did last year, which enables me to listen to more rather than accumulate more, which is good because isn't that the point of having records? So there you go. That's everything for me today, folks. Drop a note in the comments. Tell me I failed or offer me words of encouragement with respect to my self-discipline. Either way, let me know. Thanks, everybody. Catch you on the flip side. Thanks for watching.